주시면 진심으로 감사합니다. 예, 잠시 후 글로벌 영상으로부터 시작하도록 하겠습니다.
식구 여러분 안녕하십니까? 천일국의 희망찬 소식을 전해드리는 HJ 글로벌 뉴스입니다. 천원단지를 중심한 신안국은 어느덧 따뜻한 봄을 맞이하며 새 생명들이 돋아나고 있습니다. 새로운 출발의 계절을 맞아 신안국의 공직자들이 한자리에 모여 비전 2027의 전략을 수립하고 지혜를 모아 로드맵을 만들어가는 제5회 신안국 전략총회를 실시했습니다. 이번 주 HJ 글로벌 뉴스에서는 제5회 신안국 전략총회의 소식을 중심으로 전해드립니다. 비전 2027을 위한 60개월 노정의 시작. 구체적 전략을 세우는 제1단계를 열어가는 시점에서 제1회 전략회의를 시작으로 해서 여러 차례에 걸쳐 교회, 예배, 식구관리 등 키워드를 두고 천일국 예배문화 정착 및 안착을 위해 신한국 특별대륙 공직자들이 사례 연구 및 재원을 통해 지혜를 모으고 심층적으로 논의했습니다. 이런 기반 위에 비전 2027 및 천왕궁 천일성전 승리봉헌 제5회 신한국 전략총회가 전국 목회자 부부, 지구본부 및 교구본부 공직자 등 800여 명이 참석한 가운데 HJ 천주천부 수련원에서 개최됐습니다. 이번 전략총회 개회식에서는 8기 천일국 특사 임관 발령식과 신임 공직자 출발식이 있었습니다. 3년간의 천주평화사관학교 교육을 마친 천일국 청년특사 8기 13명의 청년특사들에게 참부모님을 대신해 윤영호 세계본부장이 사령장과 안수반지를 수여했습니다. 천일국 청년특사는 3년간의 배움을 토대로 각 대륙에 파송되어 참부모님의 사랑을 나눠주고 실천하는 모범적인 공직의 길을 걸어갈 것을 결의했습니다. 신임 공직자 출발식은 천주평화사관학교 파견 발령, 천일국 지도자 아카데미 2기 수료 발령, 기타 목회 및 행정공직자 등 총 41명이 그 주인공이었습니다. 신임 공직자들은 올해 3월부터 각각의 임지에서 천일국의 일꾼으로서 그 역할을 다할 것을 다짐했습니다. 선배 공직자를 대표해 조만웅 원로회 공동회장은 격려사를 전하며 공직을 출발하는 이들의 장도를 축복했습니다. 이어 윤영호 세계본부장은 예배 컨설팅에 대한 내용을 중점적으로 환영사를 전했습니다.
그래서 저희들이 이 4대 혁신 중에 가장 중심이 뭐냐? 예배라고 보는 거죠. 외부의 활동을 중심한 환경 창조보다는 교회 자체의 문화가 천일국 안착 시대에 맞는 문화로 만들어져야 되거든요. 이 예배는 누가 중심이 되느냐? 모두가 참여자이고 목회자가 중심이 돼야죠. 우리 가정연합의 독특한 예배 문화, 안식일 문화, 모든 종교가 들어올 수 있는 예배. 2027은 정말로 대륙 단위 환경 창조와 함께 실질적 교회 성장이 이루어져야 한다. 결국 교회가 증가해야 되고, 교회가 증가하기 위해서는 교회장, 목회자가 증가해야 한다. 목회자가 결국 뭘 하냐? 예배. 교회 문화에 꽂힌 예배입니다. 예배는 종합예술입니다. 말씀과 원리는 변하지 않지만 그것을 표현하고 구현하고 전달하는 방식은 트렌디하게 바뀌어야 됩니다. 저는 예배 문화가 본질을 지키지만 그 본질을 중심으로 변화해야 된다고 믿습니다. 우리의 목표가 42.19와 같은 2027이 정해졌다면 우리의 체질을 개선해야 되고 전략을 변화해야 되고 우리의 상황을 정확히 분석해서 그 방향에 맞게 전진해야 된다고 봅니다. 그래서 저는 지금 이 상황이 위기가 아니라 기회라고 믿습니다. 그리고 그 출발은 한국에서 모델이 될 거라 저는 확신합니다.
노엘 존스 주교는 특별 보고를 통해 설교와 설교자에 대해 하나님의 말씀을 전하는 태도에 대해 언급하며 사람들의 삶을 변화시키는 핵심 주제를 가지고 말씀해야 하며 이를 위해 심사숙고해야 한다고 강조했습니다. 제5회 신한국 전략회의는 신방과 상담을 핵심 키워드로 진행했습니다. 첫 번째 키워드인 신방을 주제로 놓고 6명의 발표자가 나와 천일국 시대의 신방, 청년 신방과 지속적 케어를 위한 방안 제언, 식구 신방 활동 사례 및 재현, 한필 국제가정 신방 및 지역사회 공공기관 연계 활동, 효적 문화에 기반한 식구 신방, 식구 신앙 양육을 위한 신방 등 여러 사안에 대해 다루었고 전략회의로 이어지며 구체적인 방법론에 대해 논의했습니다. 두 번째 키워드 상담에 대해서도 6명의 발표자가 단에 올라 가정연합의 상담과 실제, 상담을 통한 성화 청년대학생 양육 및 신앙 지도 활동, 원리적인 상담법을 통한 효율성 제고, 부부 갈등의 이론 고찰과 상담 사례, 미래 세대 목회 상담 진행에 대한 제언, 천심 천보 상담론 개발에 대해 발표하고 전략회의를 통해 여러 상담법을 어떻게 현장에 적용할 수 있는지에 대해 진지한 논의를 이어갔습니다. 천심 천보 수행의 일환으로 제2회 강연 훈독대회가 열렸습니다. 이번 강연 훈독대회는 준비한 원고를 암송해서 발표하는 암송 훈독대회 형태로 진행됐습니다. 5개 지구와 천원특별지구를 대표한 6명의 발표자들은 심정의 공명을 울릴 수 있게 강연 암송 훈독을 선보였습니다.
무고한 핍박이 와도 그 누구를 원망하지 않았고 오로지 그들을 위해 기도해 주었습니다. 그렇게 시련을 극복하면 생각하지도 못한 많은 축복이 내렸습니다. 그랬기에 세계평화통일 가정연합은 반세기 만에 세계 194개 국가에 선교지를 건설했고 국제 평화의 기반을 닦았던 것입니다.
부모가 자식을 돌보듯 형제가 형제를 아끼듯이 북한 동포의 아픔을 진정한 내 아픔으로 같이 나누면서 변할 수 없는 하늘 부모님의 참사랑 속에서 함께 만날 수 있도록 해야 합니다.
열심을 다한 4명의 발표자는 효성상을, 특히 심정의 공명을 주어 많은 감동을 준 이지구 오순석 경기북부대교구 미금교회장과 천원특별지구 이은경 가정부장은 효정상을 수상했습니다. 신한국 전략총회는 비전 2027, 교회 성장과 구체적 세부 전략 수립을 위해 교회 성장의 로드맵을 만들어가기 위해 지속될 예정입니다. 세계본부는 예배 혁신을 통한 실질적 교회 성장을 목표로 제2회 하늘부모님 성회 예배 컨설팅을 진행했습니다. 이번 컨설팅은 신한국 5개 지구 교회 중 온라인 예배를 진행하고 있는 10개 교회를 선정해 모니터링을 하고 분야별로 예배 혁신을 위한 다양한 의견을 나눴습니다. 하늘부모님 성의 예배 컨설팅은 모니터링을 통해 각 교회의 환경과 찬양, 설교, 식순, 주보 등의 예배 콘텐츠까지 분석해 개선 방향을 모색하고 다방면으로 지원해 예배 혁신을 통한 교회 성장을 이루기 위해 노력하고 있습니다. 이 내용을 기반으로 세계본부에서는 예배 컨설팅위원회와 예배 아카데미, 예배 지원 코디네이터를 구축해 모든 교회에서 예배 혁신을 통해 천일국 시대 하늘부모님 성회의 새로운 예배 문화가 정착되도록 추진하고 있습니다. 캐나다 토론토에서는 최근 임명된 새 평화대사들을 상대로 1일 비전 세미나가 있었습니다. 본 세미나에는 각 교민단체, 문화단체, 미디어계를 대표한 지도급 인사들 80여 명이 참석했습니다. UPF와 평화대사의 핵심 가치 및 설립자 비전 교육, 세계적 활동에 대한 소개, 평화대사들의 UPF에 대한 간증, UPF의 8기둥을 중심하고 어느 분야에서 평화를 위해 기여할지에 대한 토의와 질의응답 시간이 있었고 향후 있을 피스로드 행사에 함께할 것을 결의했습니다. 미국 시카고에서는 하나님의 생명 중심교회에 모여 천왕궁 천일성전을 중심으로 ACLC 조찬 기도회를 가졌습니다. ACLC 지도자들인 존 잭슨 목사와 로온 라우스 박사는 성직자들에게 천원궁 천일성전의 깊은 의미에 대해 교육했습니다. ACLC 성직자들은 천원궁 천일성전에 대해 처음 듣고 영감을 받아 정성을 담아 기부를 하기 시작했습니다. 이번 기도회는 ACLC 성직자들과 더 강한 관계를 발전시킬 수 있는 좋은 기회가 됐습니다. 신중미 사지구에서는 니카라과 상업과학대학에서 천주평화연합이 주관하는 인성교육을 위한 개강식이 열렸습니다. 올해는 학생들과 대학 직원들을 대상으로 14개 강좌를 대면으로 실시할 예정입니다. 상업과학대학 부총장 환영사에 이어 양창식 신중남미 천의원장의 인사말과 스티븐 보이드 UTS 학생생활학장의 강좌가 있었습니다. 신안국 이지구에서는 신경원국 목회자 총회 및 예배 혁신 세미나가 효정문화원에서 개최됐습니다. 근본 총회는 예배 혁신으로 부응하는 신경원국이라는 주제로 144명의 공직자들이 참석했으며 2023년도 지구 정책을 공유하고 실천할 것을 결의하는 데 그 목적을 뒀습니다. 특별히 예배 혁신 세미나로 세계본부 정책 특강과 사례 발표가 있었습니다. 황보국 회장은 예배 혁신과 원리 수련의 정착이라는 목표로 새 시대에 맞는 플랫폼 현실화 중요성도 강조했습니다. 신경원국 총회 및 예배 혁신 세미나는 세계본부의 4대 혁신을 중심으로 정렬되고 결의하는 귀한 시간이 됐습니다. 신안국 삼지구에서는 충북 원로회 주관 신통일한국 교육강사 강의대회가 개최됐습니다. 이번 교육강사 강의대회는 각자 삶 속에서 깨달은 신통일한국론을 10분의 강의로 표현해 참 부모님의 사상을 널리 알리는 주역으로 성장할 수 있는 계기를 마련하기 위해 개최됐습니다. 충북 전역에서 모인 15명의 강사는 열강을 펼치며 강연대회가 참사랑의 은혜로 가득 찼습니다. 진성배 효정국제학술 원장과 유경득 회장은 심사평을 통해 참신하고 진솔한 내용에 놀라고 감동받았다고 밝혔습니다. 영예의 대상은 요시카와 유키코 강사가 수상을 했고 참석자들은 참부모님 사상과 신통일한국 비전 전파에 앞장설 것을 결의했습니다. 신안국 사지구 보성교회에서는 제1차 원리강론 훈독필사 완료 시상 및 봉헌 결의대회 예배를 드렸습니다. 작년 4월 25일부터 10개월 노정 동안 11명의 식구가 원리강론 필사를 완료했습니다. 완성한 필사본을 하늘 앞에 봉헌했고 이준호 교회장은 승리한 식구들에게 메달을 걸어주며 격려했습니다. 신아프리카 베냉에서 첨보가정을 중심으로 천원궁 천일성전 승리봉헌을 위해 특별 수련이 진행됐습니다. 이번 수련회는 100여 명이 참석했으며 강사들은 천원궁 천일성전의 섭리 의미와 중요성을 밝혔습니다. 또한 참석자들이 신아프리카 원로 지도자와 식구의 감동적인 간증을 경청했으며 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님께서 원하시는 천원궁 천일성전의 섭리에 기여할 것을 다짐했습니다. 카메룬에서는 카디마 총회장을 비롯해 200여 명이 온오프라인으로 참석한 가운데 천심원 봉헌식이 있었습니다. 카디마 총회장은 축도를 통해 신아프리카를 사랑하고 계시는 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님께 감사의 마음을 표했으며 신아프리카 분원 강사는 간절한 기도와 정성의 중요성을 강조했습니다.
하늘 부모님과
May Heavenly Parent and True Parents' blessings
부모님 성에 충만하시기를 기원합니다.
overflow within our Heavenly Parents' holy community. 아주. Most beloved Peace Associates and blessed families, I am In Namjoon and I'll be your MC for today's worship service. I greet you all.
식구 여러분의
Dear
하늘 대한 심정과
beloved
정성을
members,
통해
through your love for Heavenly Parent devotion, we only have now we're approaching that day we'll be dedicating Cheonwon-gung, and let us all pray with confidence that the Cheonwon-gung Cheonwon Sanctum will be dedicated in victory, and let us begin this worship service with being
감사합니다.
Thank you so much, everyone, and let us all offer bow to our Heavenly Parent and True Parents for who have opened today's worship service. Let us all offer a bow. 바로, you can now take your seats. Next, we have the Pyeonghwa Nuri, which are peace songs, and it will be presented today by the Cheonwon Honeymoon Band. Let us welcome them with a warm round of applause. Today is the third Sunday service of March, and I want to thank all our Peace Associates and blessed families who are here today with us. I sincerely welcome you. And just recently we watched the weekly update on Peace TV. So 3 days ago, right at this very venue, we had a pastors' assembly with all the key leaders and pastors across Korea gathered in one place where we all discussed. We had a special strategy for Vision 2027, and there young public leaders were appointed and dispatched to their mission area. So it was very meaningful. While looking at that, I was able to reminisce back at the time when I first began public work as well, while seeing them. And when I was seeing the young, newly appointed leaders coming up on stage, I could feel their passion as well, and how ready they were. So Ranchoanong actually gave some words of encouragement to the young, newly appointed leaders, and he, the atmosphere was so hot and passionate, full of passion, that it felt like Reverend Joe was could be going back again, to public work. That's how passionate everyone was feeling about this, and hopeful. So I felt it was really meaningful and very precious in that sense. So what I would like to ask of our leaders and members here today is that I sincerely hope that the newly appointed young leaders can really become well established and really be victorious in their mission area. So please send them a warm round of applause so that they can to encourage them on their missions. And today, one more time, I would like to thank our Peace Associates and blessed families attending online and offline as well. I sincerely welcome you all, and I sincerely hope today becomes a worship service full of inspiration for you all. Thank you so much, everyone.
바다를 먹물 삼아도 한없는
감사합니다.
Thank you very
다음은
much.
평화맹세의
Next, we'll
시간입니다.
have
모두
family
자리에서
pledge. Please rise from your
일어나시겠습니다.
seats.
평화맹세는 가정명세
Today we'll be
8절을
reciting
함께 하시겠습니다.
family pledge number 8.
가정명세
Let us all recite it.
천일국 주인 우리 가정은 참 사랑을 중심하고 천일국 시대를 맞이하여 절대 신앙, 절대 사랑, 절대 복종으로 신인의 일체 이상을 이루어 지상 천국과 천상 천국의 해방권과 석방권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 모두
You
자리에
can now all
앉으시겠습니다.
take your seats.
다음은
Next,
보고
we'll have a
기도의
report
순서입니다.
prayer,
보고
and
기도는
this
최창훈
the report prayer will be offered
선악
by
역사
Mr.
편찬원
Choi Chang-woo,
원장님께서
director of the Sonak Compilation History Institution.
천지 만물을 사랑으로 주관하시는 하늘 부모님,
Our Heavenly Parent who governs the whole
저희를
universe in
진리의
love,
말씀으로 일깨우시는
you who
전지인
awakens
참
us,
부모님,
our true parents who awakens us in the
1111
truth.
철력 2월
Today,
22일
the 22nd day of the second
성일을
month of the
맞이하여
11th year of Chanukuk.
천안궁 천안교회 식구들
Together,
당신의
we've
전에
gathered here
불러주심에
answering your
감사를
and we thank
드리옵니다.
you for you calling us here today.
만물이 생동하는 봄을 맞이하였습니다.
We are
이
ushering in the
새봄에
dream where all of
천안궁
creation
천일성전
will jump
공헌의
in
역사가
joy, and
은혜롭게 준비됨을
wherein
감사드리옵니다.
your work will
30년
is being
전인
prepared in
1993년
devotion.
연초에 참
In
부모님께서는
1993,
성약 시대를
our true
선포하시며
parents proclaim the
해마다
complete New
봄은
Testament age,
찾아왔지만
and
섭리의 봄은 비로소
every year will like
성약 시대를 발표함으로써 시작된다고 말씀하셨습니다. 그해 8월에는
on that same year,
종족을 이끌고
the
번영을
leading
향해 가야 한다고 말씀하시며
true parents said that we should go to the garden, to the
선포하셨습니다.
original land, leading our tribes.
나를 따라만
And
온다고
Father
되는
then
것이
said
아니라
that it's not just a matter of you following me,
종족을
but
거느리고
of you
하늘
really
앞으로
leading your
나가지
tribes
않으면
and
안
leading them
된다고
towards heaven,
하셨사옵니다.
is what Father said.
한국이요 본향
And he said,
그 돌아가야 할 나라는 지금
Korea,
천일국이요
the country that we are to return is Chanulguk.
그
It is
나라이옵니다.
that country that you had envisioned from the very
순정과
beginning.
사랑과 축복을 함께 나누며 살아야
Enable
할
us.
그곳입니다.
It is a place where we are to
저희가
live
살고
together,
있는 이
sharing.
땅은
Uh,
아무리 둘러봐도
everything.
본향이 아니며
so the
이상적
place we're in right now
국가는
is still not an ideal
더욱
country. It is
아니옵니다.
certainly not Chanulguk, the ideal.
전쟁과 갈등이
Your
끊이지
ideal
않는
kingdom,
이곳이
it is a
어찌
place that's
저희가
always
앉아있을 수 있는
overflowing with wars and struggles.
본향이겠습니까?
How can such a land
저희가
be
천일국을
the
향해
original
가야
land?
하는
As people who
이유이기도
are, this is also the reason why we are to go to the
하늘 부모님,
original land.
섭리의 시간은 너무도
Your time,
빠르게
Heavenly
흘러가고
Parent, your
있습니다.
providential time passes so
이제
quickly,
저희는
and
자신의 삶을
enable
돌아보면서
us to be able to reflect back on our
종족과
lives
신지가 나를 보고
and
당신처럼 살고 싶다 할 수
and to
있는
be set up an
모습이
example
되어야
that
하겠습니다.
our own relatives and people around us would want to
희망의 이
follow
계절에
in this
저희 가슴에도
springtime
번영과
of hope.
천일국을 향한 소망이 가득 차서
Enable this time to be filled with hope for Chanulguk that will move,
솟아나야
that can
하겠습니다.
urge within every one of our hearts. And
스스로 꽃보다
but before
아름다운
that, to do so,
몸, 마음을
enable us
갖추어야
to become beautiful
이웃도
in and out.
종족도
And only
나에게
then
관심을 가질
can our
것이기에
neighbors pay attention to
따뜻한 봄
us,
기운과
be
함께
interested in us,
내 마음의
and together
봄을
with this
만들어갈
warm
수 있기에
springtime,
지혜를
please give us
주시옵소서.
the wisdom that we can really become beautiful in and out first.
섭리의 굽이굽이 고개를 돌아 나올 적마다
Whenever our true
얼마나
parents
심각했는지
pass every
모른다고
corner,
하셨습니다.
he always mentioned how
말씀을
serious he
나
was.
자신도 그 뜻을
and said,
놓고
Even when it comes to following the word, I myself am very
책임적 사명을 할 수
serious,
있어야 하겠습니다.
and I do my everything to
하늘
fulfill
부모님,
my responsibilities.
하늘의
Dearest
씨앗이
Heavenly Parent,
생명을
enable
시키기 위해서는
For one seed to give birth to
어두운 땅
life,
속에 들어가야만
it has to
하듯이
first go into the dark
저희가
soil.
세상 사람들 앞에
And likewise,
마음
for
넉넉한
us to be able
원리이며 뜻을 품은 종교인으로
to
인정받기
become
위해서는
recognized
땅 속과
among
같은
in our
낮은 곳에서
neighborhood or in our communities as religious people,
서야
we
한다는
need to
것을
first stand in a
아옵니다.
position of sacrificing and serving.
이제
So
천은궁 천일성전
as we
봉헌이 40여일을
only have 40 or so Sundays until the Cheongguk Channel
부족한
Center
저희를
dedication,
이끌며
please
앞서
guide us
그러시는
to how
참 어머님의
inadequate we
발걸음이
are,
조금이나마
so that we can
가벼워지도록
also enable true
성심을
parents'
다하는
footsteps
저희
to become
모두가
a bit
되어야
lighter,
하겠습니다.
enable us to do our best to
오늘
ensure that. Today,
박상선
we'll
교구장님이
be
내리시는
listening to a sermon from
성인의 DNA
Reverend
말씀을
Park
통해
Sen-son on the title of
저희 마음이
DNA of
마음의
Victory,
부활의 역사가
and
일어나게
enable us
하시옵소서.
to be
예배
reborn
시종을
again, to feel that,
은혜로
to
이끌어 주시기를
gain again our
바라올 때
motivation through this service
중심 가정
and sermon. I prayed
최창훈의
all this in
이름으로
my name, blessed central family, Choi
기도하옵나이다.
Chang-hon,
아주
아주.
사랑하는
Most
천원교회 형제자매 여러분,
beloved Cheonan
안녕하셨습니까?
Church,
반갑습니다.
blessed families and members, I'm truly happy to meet you. I am Im
저는 이
Jong-hyuk,
시간에
and this time
자랑스러운
I'll
강연훈독
be
강사님을
I would like to
소개하려고
introduce
나왔습니다.
a lecturer
지난
of
3월
Hundok
16일
lectures,
제5회 신한국
and this
목회자
person
전략총회는
also gave
UPA 천일국 특사
did a Hundok
관련과
lecture.
임관식 및
Was also
41명의 신임 공직자
was one of the
출발식
newly appointed
있었습니다.
youth.
그리고 신방과 상담,
So those
그리고
we had an inauguration of new 41 public leaders, and then we had a section on visiting members' homes, and then we had a Hundok session, lecture Hundok session, and then Dr. Yoon spoke about the importance of visiting members' homes, and so by having them now, so on that day at the pastors' assembly, the pastors were able to give their own presentations on how best to visit members' home, and then we also had a Hundok lecture session as well, where people read their Hundok lectures, and there were also around 40 or so something new leaders who were appointed, new young leaders, and they really created a hopeful atmosphere. And the fact that we have now a lot of young pastors definitely is showing us that we have a firm future. It is something we must all celebrate and really all be joyful about. Let's send a round of applause to Dr. Yoon and to parents for this. And actually, being at the front line as a pastor, 70% were like 40, 50, and those in their 20s and 30s were like 99% of all the pastors. But so last year and today, the fact that we sent out so many young leaders is indeed amazing and really a source of much excitement and strength for us. So at the pastors' assembly, we had what we call like a recital kind of lecture Hundok, in which members or leaders will like memorize true parents' words with a heart seeking to become completely one with true parents and understand true parents' heart, and through that Hundok recital they will like try and convey it. So this time was more particular or special because they had to memorize it. So it was a difficult kind of like Hundok session, but our Cheonan church actually won that Hundok competition. And so again, one more time, So we will again present it in front of you. Let us welcome the winner, Mrs. Lee Eun-kyung, head of our Blessed Family Department of the Cheonwon Cheonwon Church. Hello everyone. I'm truly happy to see you all. I feel a bit tense today. But the weather is getting definitely warmer and better. And whenever spring comes, it's always time to plant seeds and sow them. And so I sincerely hope that whatever you plant, well, you'll be able to plant them well, and you're able to harvest really good results from them. And so after difficulties is always blessing, right? So likewise, even amid difficulties, God sometimes gives us blessings, but we don't feel it well because we still go through those difficulties. It is later on that we come and understand that those were a blessing. So today, I want to say, I want to believe that we're receiving blessings even within difficulties. So I am truly grateful for being given this opportunity today. What I'll be reading or reciting today, it comes from Pyeongwagyeong, which from a speech that was given by Mother on May 11, 1992. At the Women's Federation for World Peace National 21 City Speaking Tour under the theme Women Will Play a Leading Role in the Ideal World. And the speech was given by Mother, and I will be reading part of that speech today. And today is actually not a competition day, so I won't be too tense. So even if I do make mistakes, please understand me. And today, I hope that you can also find some point of inspiration from the contents I'll be reading or reciting today. And the reason why I chose Mother's words is because she mentions, because I was able to deeply feel the depth of Mother's words when she said to love your enemy. Everyone has a parent. And everyone goes through a parent-child relationship and the pains that accompany it. So all the parents who are here will know how difficult it is to raise children as well. And that parental heart is a heart upon which we can really connect with our Heavenly Parent. And so under Heavenly Parent, we cannot have any enemies. And so I believe that the heart that women should be having in this age is one that can embrace even the enemy. It is none other than a mother's heart, and it was through this speech that I deeply felt it. So I will now begin my Hundok lecture recital. God seeks while waiting to recover something. He employs the strategy of being struck first and then receives back what was taken. When the evil world persecutes you from all quarters and oppresses you, Heavenly Fortune will help you to leap forward and go beyond all opposition. God has allowed my husband and me many opportunities to undergo such experiences. And being persecuted is actually a secret method of inheriting the enemy's right of possession. So in this way, the person whom God loves is always under the protection of Heavenly Fortune. Even if God has an enemy whom he wishes to overcome, God will not punish that person because God knows that that person has parents and a wife, as well as sons and daughters who love him. Since God also has crossed the valleys of tears when he experiences the heart of his enemy's parents, wife, and children who love him more than anyone else, he simply cannot eliminate this enemy. So when you really come to feel God's heart, how could you possibly seek revenge? When you come to know God's heart, you want to help your enemy instead.
그래야
And only
천리의
then
궤도인
can you
사랑을
focus
중심 삼고
on love,
하나로
which is the
품으려는
great
그 대도
road
앞에
of the
내가
law of
가까이 서게
nature.
되면
And can you
거기에서
travel
천지가
that
진동하며
great road
하나님도
which embraces
눈물을 흘리게
all as
되는
one?
것입니다.
Only
자신을
then
닮았다고
will heaven and earth
기뻐하시게
move in
됩니다.
unison, and will God
이런
shed
입장에
tears.
계시는
He'll be
하나님이시기
delighted
때문에
because you resemble
원수를
Him.
사랑하라 하신 그
Since
말은
God takes this
이해가
viewpoint,
되는
we can
것입니다.
understand why we need to love our
그러한 힘이
enemy.
나오는 것은
And such power
지식도
comes
아니고
neither from
돈도
knowledge,
아니고
money,
권력도
nor
아닙니다.
authority.
참
Only
사랑에만
true
있는
love
것입니다.
has that power.
그러므로
And therefore, for your
여러분들은
beloved sons,
사랑하는
daughters,
아들,
and
딸과
parents,
부모를 위해서
South and North
남북이
Korea
원수시하는 그 고백을
must
넘어
go beyond thinking of
이해하고
each other as
희생하는
enemies
참
and
사랑을
yearn
가지고
for
통일을
reunification
바라야 합니다.
in the spirit of true love, of
우리가
living
염원하는
and sacrificing for the
남북
sake of others.
어디까지나
The unification of South and North
원수까지도
Korea, which is our long
사랑하고
cherished wish, is
사랑할 수
possible
있는
only
이해하고
through the
희생하는
spirit
참
of true
사랑
love,
정신으로만이
of loving even
가능한
our
것입니다.
enemies and living and
부모가
making
자식을
sacrifices
돌보듯
for their sake. And just as
형제가
parents look
형제를
after their
아끼듯이
children, siblings look
북한
after
동포의
each
아픔을
other, we need to
진정한
be able
내
to meet with our
아픔으로
North
같이
Korean brothers
나누면서
and sisters
변할
with
수
God's
없는
unchanging
하늘
true love
부모님의
and
참
truly
사랑
feel
속에서 함께
and share
만날 수
their
있도록
pain
해야 합니다.
as if it were ours.
이것으로
With this, I
훈독
conclude
강연을
today's Hundok
하늘 부모님,
lecture.
참 아버님, 참
Heavenly
어머님,
Parent, true
그리고
parents,
식구님 여러분,
true father, true mother,
들어주셔서 정말로
beloved
감사합니다.
members, thank you for listening to my Hundok lecture.
예, 감사합니다.
Thank you so much.
예, 암송의 순간은
And
항상 긴장되는
of
것
course, when you
같습니다.
recite something, you
여러분도
always feel
암송하시기
tense.
바랍니다.
I hope that you
아주
also all have the same opportunity in the future. Next, we will have Hyojong sharing testimony time, and this time will be given by member Kim Ye-hwa. Please let us welcome Kim Ye-hwa, a second generation member, who will be giving today's Hyojong testimony. Hello everyone. I work at the in Cheonjeonggung, and my name is Kim Ye-hwa, and I received the blessing in 2009 through True Father's matching by picture, and that's how I got to meet my husband, and I'm now raising my 4 sons, and my parents-in-law are helping raise our children as well. And from a young age, I always thought that after receiving the blessing, everything would be great. And thanks to my parents who are pastors, the blessing wasn't a choice, but it was something of that was part of life, basically. And my father was always like a Superman, and my mom was always a very compassionate, generous. So my dream was to also become like my mother, like a perfect wife. And so while I was trying to decide what to do for college, I came to ask my father, "Father, what do you want me to do?" And my dad said, "I hope you can also receive the blessing and really have children and really form a happy family," was what my dad said. So I told him, not something that, of course, that I must do, but what else, like, would you want me to pursue? And say, so because I really felt confident that I could really create a happy family, and I thought it was, of course, natural to form a blessed family. But after living for some time, my dream and my father's hope, which was also a fundamental hope of our heavenly parents from the beginning, this wasn't something that I got to achieve myself. The reality that I faced after receiving the blessing was very cold, and that distance, that gap between my ideal and the reality really gave me a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges. So I actually thought the blessing was my destination, but after leaving, I realized I was actually the beginning point. to form such a family. I was very confident that I would be able to form such a happy family, but it came to a point where sometimes I felt like, oh, I cannot do it, even me myself, and that I felt like, so this is the reality for pretty much all families. But then I took courage, and I learned couple counseling and tried to find solutions to my issues, and I tried to become a family that could also provide help to others. And through that, I was able to overcome all the crises that our family faced. And among them, after my youngest sibling's blessing actually was a great turning point for me. So my youngest sibling would call me all the time, telling me I fought with my match, with etc. So in my heart, I told her, no matter how much you fight, please do not break your blessing and live well. That was my earnest desire for my youngest sibling. And then, so what came suddenly in my mind was my parents and Heavenly Parent. And then I realized, my parents would have also wanted that I and my husband live well, and our Heavenly Parent and our true parents will also hope that not only us, but also all blessed families would live well together despite all the difficulties, was the realization that came to me. And so, despite a lot of difficulties, I tried to hold on to that center and to pray and to offer devotion. And little by little, I was able to gain my own wisdom in so doing. And I believe that many of you here have also gone through the same procedure, and that each family definitely has a very heart-breaking stories that they difficult to share with others. But I believe that all that is kind of like fertilizer, foundation basis for our future generations, and it is a practice of the principle as well. And until now, through all the different realization I had, whether small or big, the biggest realization was actually the meaning of living for the sake of others. It's not just some beautiful words, but it is definitely a key word that can solve many of the problems in the world. And many people usually tend to say, if you do well, I'll do well. They could easily say that as a result, the interaction between the two partners, the couple will stop, because of such thoughts like, if you do well, I'll do well, and I should be doing great for you to be able to, so basically only when I change fundamentally and really live, then can we really come to live for the sake of each other. So this is easy to say, but practicing is always difficult. I have only practiced a little bit of it so far, but through the blessing, my husband, who was completely a stranger to me, by living for the sake of others could be a big adventure in itself, but my hope is to enter that realm of true love by challenging myself to live for the sake of others and to really create a relationship to prove that to God that such a relationship can be attained. And I know that everyone here too are making a lot of efforts every day, and it is my hope that you can really find that joy as well and overcome everything, and that God can be happy upon seeing our relationships as couples. And I want to conclude today's testimony with a poetic expression, and thanks to heaven's hope, we were able to survive in history. Thanks to true parents' hope, we were able to be reborn through the blessing grace, and through humanity's hope and wish, we're able to lead at the front, at the center of the world. And we are able, thanks to each other's hope, we can enjoy true love for eternity. I pray that you can all be happy, and I also do my best effort as a blessed family. Thank you so much, true parents. We love you. Blessed families, I greet you all again one more time. Truly happy to be with you all here today again. And just now we had our Cheonwon choir that sang the song We Becoming One. I thank you for preparing such a precious song. And we also just listened to a Hyojong testimony from our member Kim Ye-hwa, who was also second generation member. And she expressed her hope that all blessed families can also be happy and can find strength as well to challenge and continue to challenge themselves. And also we heard the Hundok lecture from Lee Eun-kyung, head of our BFT office, and it was actually they had to memorize the whole passage. And so when I first told her to go to the competition, she said she can't, but she prepared well. And so you know how difficult it is, to memorize a passage and how much you need to prepare to be able to memorize that. So all those who attended the competition actually prepared a lot to attend that competition, to participate. So I could feel that inspiration, that my heart was, just listening upon them. And every single person actually said that they prepared a lot, but when they stood up again on the stage, despite the fact that they thought they prepared a lot, they ended up forgetting some lines, etc. But that's, anyways. And as I mentioned before again as well, around 44 new public leaders were appointed and dispatched to their mission areas. I really hope they can become fully settled in their new mission area. Today, the sermon I will be giving today will be the DNA of victory. And so it is springtime already. And when it is springtime, those who farm get really busy. And so even in my hometown, there are a lot of people who are farmers. And so whenever it's springtime, not only my parents, but my relatives, and as well as all the village people will be busy preparing for farming. So I remember those moments whenever it becomes spring. And so when it's spring, the first thing that farmers usually do is to plow the land and then prepare the fertilizers and also make sure that the land is even for farming. And then the next thing they do is they prepare the seeds to plant, and then and also prepare everything for the actual sowing. And because getting the sowing time right is very important. And so basically my parents would always check the 24 seasons in the lunar calendar. And so once the season marking the end of hibernation comes to an end, our village people will discuss what seed to plant and how they would share their hope that it would rain adequately, and they would even look up at the skies and etc. So I still remember all this very vividly. So normally after harvest time in the previous year, they will usually store those grains that were well ripened, large and good grains. They'll store them and for plantation the following spring, and prepare in advance in that sense. So today, what I hope to be able to share very precious wisdom with of those farming. Some of you may already know such wisdom. So basically, when farmers, the grain that they get from their harvest, no matter how well ripened and how good and how large they are, even if they keep them and store them for the following year, when it's time to actually sow them, they will not sow those grains in the same land where they harvested them. So basically what they'll do is they'll try and find land, farmers from a different village, faraway village, where they will exchange their grains. But these days, many people buy new grains, but that's what they used to do in the past. And so I think, but most people buy seeds these days. But when I was young, every springtime, whenever what people would do is they'll go to a different village and exchange their seeds when they would need other different types of seeds. And that was a very important work or task in those days. So logically speaking, of course, if these particular plants or grains or seeds grew well in the land and had very good results, and of course they will try and replant them on the same land. And of course it would be logical to think that it will grow well and also bear again very good harvest or very good grains. But people who farm don't do that. What they do is that they'll find a very faraway village and take their seeds from that faraway village and plant it now in their own lands. So basically, this, in the case from the standpoint of that seed, this is a completely new land. It's a different environment from where they used to grow, because they have to grow in this new difficult environment. So we can say it's a difficult environment for these seeds. But why is it that whenever farmers have to plant seeds or have to sow, why is it that they have to bring seeds into a whole new environment, instead of planting them in the same land? So I cannot talk about all the reasons in details, but I believe that this is a natural flow when farming. It's a natural principle when farming. So, of course, in order for a seed to be planted well and bear good fruits, it must go in a completely different environment, overcome all the difficulties, and this wisdom has been, this was a wisdom or know-how that farmers realize, but through farming over a long period of time. So I sincerely hope that as we usher the new spring of 2023, as you carry out your own responsibilities, I hope that you can set up your new goals, and I'm sure that you'll be setting up plans for those goals and making all the necessary preparations. So many people talk about the difficulties they share. So it was with hope that you can really obtain strength that I prepared today's sermon. So I want to also introduce something similar. I didn't study the Book of Changes or the Classic of Changes, but there are definitely a lot of insights we can gain through this Book of Changes. In the Book of Changes, there are 64 hexagrams, and it is a classic book on fortune telling. Basically, it talks about the different changes in the universe, in our lives. So I won't go in details about this Book of Changes, but I'll briefly simply introduce you to some things about this Book of Changes. So this drawing are the 64 hexagrams in the Book of Changes, and each hexagram has 6 lines, basically, and we call these lines hyo. So each lines represent yang and yin, and basically they symbolize heaven and earth. So when these 6 lines come together and form one shape, this becomes a hexagram. So they form a total of 64 hexagrams. And so these 6 lines, depending on the shape, basically the hexagram will be shaped based on what kind of shape these 6 lines are made, and the name that the hexagram will get will be different accordingly. So among the 64 hexagrams, I would like to introduce you 2 hexagrams to you in particular. First, what I would like the name of this hexagram is Ji-Chon-Te. So out of the 64 hexagrams, this is the hexagram, a representative hexagram that shows that everything you do will go well and smoothly and succeed, basically. So it's called Ji-Chon-Te. So basically it means that everything will go well and succeed. And this is another hexagram. It's called Cheonji-bi, basically. And the Cheonji-bi, though This hexagram, however, means that everything has been blocked and that nothing will work and that you'll be facing a crisis. So this is what this hexagram basically means. So I'll go back again. I'll give you a bit more explanation on these two hexagrams. So this is Chichonte, the first hexagram that I showed you. It has 3 lines on top, and the 3 lines on top is broken, as you can see, and the 3 lines beneath are full 3 lines. The 3 lines on top symbolizes the earth, and the 3 lines at the bottom symbolizes heaven, basically. So that's why it's called Jichonte, Ji meaning earth, Chon meaning heaven. So, but when we look at the shape, basically, the earth is above and heaven is beneath, right? So what is the state? It really feels like it's very insecure, very abnormal, and that a lot of changes will take place. So this is the type, this is what we see from this. But it is actually interpreted as everything will be going smoothly and well, and that you'll be succeeding. It's interesting, right? And then this is the second hexagram I showed you, the Chonjibi. And here in the Chonjibi, basically, when you look at the shape, the 3 lines on top represent heaven, and the 3 lines at the bottom represent the earth. And so heaven is above and earth is at the bottom. So, of course, it looks very normal and very secure and very comfortable. So, but what does it mean? It means everything is blocked and nothing will work. How come? Right? So this book of changes was actually made 3,000 years back in the Zhou dynasty in China. But even today, many people still study this book. So even though 3,000 years has passed, if this book really had nothing really substantial, it would have disappeared long time ago, I'm sure. But people are still studying this book of changes to this day. And basically, it is also already proved that what this book is teaching makes sense, is logical. So, but the interpretation of this hexagram makes us think a lot, because logically speaking, this isn't a logic that we normally understand. Heaven is at the bottom, and earth is on top. This is definitely not normal. It's not secure at all. But how come it's interpreted as everything going well and smoothly and succeeding? How come? And then there's the other hexagram where heaven is on top and earth is at the bottom. Of course, that is what we call logical and normal and secure, right? But how come it's interpreted as being blocked everywhere and nothing working out, and that crisis will be coming? How come? It is essential that we reflect deeply about why. What about the West? So in the East, if this was, I'll just give you one example. In English, there is a word called obsolete that means it's not useful at all. But when we look, but it also means being very familiar. So how can you be familiar and still be not useful? So of course, if something is very familiar, then it's something very convenient, very good for you, right? But it can also become not useful in meaning. So is it that in a very normal environment, everything is blocked and is not useful? So we can find such wisdom both in the West and the East as well. So likewise, however, on the contrary, in an environment that doesn't look normal, that is abnormal, that's not familiar, from there, everything actually, it's interpreted as, everything going well and smoothly and succeeding. So even the people who farmers basically, when sowing, what they do is, they, instead of that environment where these seeds grew or were born, they do not replant those seeds in the same land. Basically, because they have already found through a lot of farming wisdom that planting them in the same land was useless, and so because they cannot bear again good fruits or good grain from it. So, but from the standpoint of the seed, of course, it's like being planted in a whole new environment, in an insecure environment. But it is only through that can the seeds grow well and bear a lot of good fruits, basically. So I felt that even so, and likewise, even if I hear many people who talk about how difficult their environment is, not only nationally but also around the world. But when we look at this book of change, actually, in a circumstance that is abnormal and insecure, is one in which everything will go well in the end and succeed. So I hope that you can deeply reflect over this and gain strength from this wisdom. So today, the title of my sermon is The DNA of Victory. So, and this is a flower called mebaltop. Basically, it means victory. The meaning of the it's called an Oriental columbine. So then, within us, we have DNA of victory. But where does this DNA of victory come from? It comes from among our ancestors who were able to live victorious lives. This comes from such ancestors. So we inherited such DNA of victory. So when we look at those victorious providential ancestors, all of them were in situation where the earth was on top and heaven was at the bottom. So let's look at grandfather Noah. Noah was actually rich. Though it's not written in the Bible that he was rich, he was definitely rich. So, but he used all his money he obeyed God's words. He used that money to build a ship on top of a mountain, and it took him 120 years to build that ship. So that's like, one's whole life, basically 120 years. So, he could have lived as a rich man in a comfortable, abundant kind of environment, but when God told him to build the ship or the boat on top of the mountain, I am sure that Noah most probably invested all of his money in that. And while doing that, instead, he probably was insulted and was spoken badly of by the village people. So he lived in a situation where heaven was at the bottom and earth was above. And yet he overcame those circumstances and came up and emerged victorious. What about Abraham? Abraham lived under with his dad Terah, who was an idol maker. He was a rich person, so he had nothing inadequate in life. He lived very conveniently, and he was what we call the diamond spoon, got born with a diamond spoon. So he was born in an affluent family of that kind, and yet he was able to throw away all of that, leave his hometown, and go to another land where other tribes were living. But back then, to leave your tribe and to go where other tribes live was like putting your life at risk, basically. So from the standpoint of Abraham, it was like heaven coming at the bottom and the the earth going on top again, but yet he overcame that kind of environment and became and emerged a victorious person that God recognized. And Jacob was able to receive that blessing as well. Moses, again, likewise, was the same thing. He was adopted by the princess of Egypt, and he lived in the palace up to the age of 40. He could have continued living comfortably like that, and even could have become king, but he ran away from that palace at the age of 40 and ran to a shepherd's home, and he began helping with raising the sheep. So he lived as a shepherd for another 40 years, and only after that 40 years did he receive God's calling. And so Moses' life, when he was living at the palace, it was like, living in the heavens, like you were the heaven yourself. But in a situation where the earth went on top and heaven went at the bottom, was the exact situation where God called him, and then he could become a leader to the people of Israel. And he led the people of Israel. He freed them from slavery and led them to Canaan. So in us, we have such DNA of victory that we've inherited from such ancestors, everyone. Do you believe in that? So this is the conclusion of my sermon. So despite the difficult circumstances or environment that we're facing immediately, if we look at it from Oriental or Western wisdom, it basically is a sign that we're ushering in a time where everything will go well. And all of us have inherited such a DNA of victory. So at a time where that is during such abnormal times where heaven is at the bottom and earth is on top, please remember that we have that victory, DNA victory in us. So please overcome. So where is the place we should go after overcoming such difficult crisis and difficulty? When we look at Cheonseongyeong, page 264, verse 9, it says, God who has absolute love, even now, has not been able to give all the love he wanted to give, and is still sad about not being able to do so. So it was the principle of creation to be able to want to give a wholesome love to man. And God still continues or hopes to give all that love to man. And so God basically is sad at the fact that he hasn't been able to give his whole love to man. And so basically, we are going through these difficult times to be able to usher in that age where we can receive God's full love. And so, but even though heaven may be at the bottom and earth may be at the top, this is interpreted that we're ushering in now the good times through that. And so we have inherited this DNA of victory from our ancestors. So let us all overcome these difficult times, and this will certainly lead to victory. And then through that, we'll be able to again be able to pass on our DNA of victory to our future descendants, to another DNA of victory to our future descendants. So this DNA of victory that we'll be leaving behind is God's final love, which is DNA of complete, absolute love. This is the DNA that we must leave to our ancestors. So on January 3, 2023, Mother, we had a New Year's gathering with True Mother, and Mother said the following. Let's read this one more time again. It says, centered on Heavenly Parent, the Blessed Families of the Education Movement, Chunpo families, should be able to embrace everyone and really become victorious people, people that people can take pride in front of humanity and heaven. So these were mother's words, basically. So we must become victorious people whom humanity and Heavenly Parent can take pride in. And so let us all attend Heavenly Parent and embrace everyone, basically, and become victors of complete, wholesome love. And so if we have difficulties that we must overcome, let's think of it as a chichonte that will usher in the good times that would solve everything. So let us, as people who have this such DNA of victory from my ancestors, let us overcome this chichonte and be able to open that world where we can receive God's full, complete love. And only that path towards God's full love, a world receiving such love, let us all attend our true mother and remember that this is certainly the path we must follow. Let us all send a warm round of applause to our mother again for her good health and long life. Let us all pray. Heavenly, most beloved Heavenly Parent and victorious true parents, thank you for allowing today's worship service today, and all the Peace Associates and blessed families have gathered here upon your call, and some of us have joined us online as well. I thank you for allowing us to be able to have this time all together. And this era may seem like a difficult time, but it is definitely also a sign that will be ushering in. You have given us the wisdom, teaching us that this is a signal to usher in also that good times are also coming. So, Heavenly Parent, true parents, even if we do face difficulties at the moment, give us the wisdom to be able to overcome them and really be able to live what you have always hoped that we will achieve ultimately, a world where your love has been achieved, where enable us to be able to realize that on earth, together with our true mother, to be able to attain and achieve that path of victory, of love. Heavenly Parent, true parents, today, and this sacred time where we live together with our true parents, and we know how much our victorious ancestors how much they had to overcome and gain victory for us to be able to stand here today, and that we also know that we have inherited their DNA of victory, and today enable us, together with the DNA that we've inherited from them, that we also are able to overcome our circumstances as well, and centered on our Heavenly Parent and true parents, enable us to be able to really successfully usher in the day we can achieve a heavenly unified Korea and a heavenly unified world. And as we advance towards the dedication of the Chonongu on May 5 and offer devotion, enable that on the foundation of this devotion, that your glory can be revealed even much more brightly in front of the world on that day. And again, we usher all this whole day again to you, and please guide all members that no matter what difficulties they face, they're able to overcome them. Please be with them, enable your protection, your blessings to be with them, so that this can also turn and usher in again. I prayed all this in my name. Bless our family, Park Sang-son, Kim Sung-sok, Aju.
하늘 부모님과
May Heavenly Parent and True Parents' love and blessings overflow today within our Heavenly Parents' holy community. True. Most beloved members, blessed families, it is now time for Hyojong Madang time, where we offer joy and happiness to our Heavenly Parent and True Parents and share it among us. So springtime has come, also here in Cheonan Complex, that ushers in a new time, and all those actually making presentation today always prepare it in devotion. So, and this is thanks to all of your devotion. And we already have 6 teams also who are preparing to perform next week as well. So this is all thanks to the devotion of all of our members. And as we also in making devotion for the Cheonangung Cheonil Sanctum, this time we had today in particular we'll have a group of Filipino and Western blessed families who prepared today's performances. So today we'll have the Hyojong Heart Chorale that prepared today's presentation, and so it's composed of Filipino and Western members, and they will be speaking of Trumat. We hope they said they prepared it in devotion, so I hope you can all they'll be singing beautiful songs today in the springtime. So let us welcome the Hyojong Heart Chorale with a warm round of applause, everyone. Please welcome them again with another warm round of applause. Thank you.
I have been wandering all over this world, looking for something I just couldn't find. Seems like I'm moving in search of myself. Where will I find my peace of mind? My peace of mind. All the lands that I love, all the seas that I sail. Months and years go by me. It's been such a finally, a welcome felt deep in my soul. And oh, I will find it in this city of gold. People so friendly, I know I will meet. My heart's pouring open, please take it for me. All the lands that I love, all the seas that I sail, can't compare to you now. My heart is in your hands. Our love's creating a world full of hope. Faces are glowing in the fresh morning sun. Children are dancing, all races are one. Father is laughing, our new life's begun. New life begun. All the lands that I love,
안녕하세요. 우리
Hello, everyone.
정서남북 다 모여서 만들었진
We are the Hyojong Heart Chorale, composed of members who have come across Korea. And our first song was a song that was sang actually it was a workshop, common workshop song, popular in the West in the 80s actually, that many countries around the world love. And now we will sing a song that really kind of like expresses mother's heart, and then lastly we'll sing a Christian song, basically a praise song.
천일국 잡게 평화의 왕과 왕비로 부르겠습니다.
So thank you, everyone.
I stand upon the hillside where once you made your home. The sun shines softly through the clouds today, all the brighter for the snow. 어머니, they tell me all the sorrows of your pain, of your tears. 어머니, as the gentle breeze revives me, I will blow away your fears. 어머니, I have heard your call. Only I believe your answer. Only, I am coming now. Will not be 어머니, branches bear us so
Rich with snow. I know that spring is
coming, and before you I will go. 어머니, I have heard your call. 어머니, I believe your answer. 어머니, I am coming 어머니, I have heard your call. 어머니, I am your answer. 어머니, I am with you now. You will not be alone. You will never be alone. 감사합니다. 식구 여러분, 일어나 주십시오. 다 같이 노래합시다.
Brothers and sisters, please stand up. Please join us in with the song. True parents, we love you.
We love you so much. 감사합니다.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. 아리가또 고자이마스.
예, 다시 한번 큰
Let us all send the Hyojong Heart Chorale again another warm round of applause. That was a beautiful.
예, 모두 앉아 주십시오.
You can now all take your seats.
예.
So it was indeed a performance of beyond races and cultures. It was indeed a beautiful time of Hyojeong, and I believe that this is exactly what this is exactly the kind of Pyeongwan Nuri that the Cheonwon-gung Cheonwon Church is really seeking for. Let's send again a warm round of applause to our international team, everyone. Today, Reverend Park actually talked about DNA, and it really touched my heart and was really a time of inspiration, I believe. And so I have a few announcements to make, but please refer to the bulletin that was shared in front for announcements. And so we still have special devotions going on, and we ask everyone to please attend them. And I would like to ask everyone to stand up to offer bow to our Heavenly Parent and to our parents. Let us all bow. Paro. So with this, we conclude the third Sunday service of this month. Let's conclude it for one round of applause and greet each other again as we conclude today's worship service. Thank you for also those attending online and through the two-way. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye.
예, 식구 여러분, 들어오실 때도 광고 드렸습니다마는 나가실 때 빵과 음료는 우리 식구님 예배에 참석하신 식구님 위한 것입니다. 참조해 주시고요. 수련생은 교회 수련회에서 식사가 제공된다고 합니다. 그리고 출연진들은 단상 앞으로 모여 주시면 감사하겠습니다.